Hi, loves. Welcome to a new episode of the AW Confidential podcast. We are early into the year, and today I'd like to talk about embracing our light. By now, you all know how much I love quotes. One of my favorite quotes is by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Amielynn Abellera has been described as a shining light, and she is not afraid to step into her power. The award winning Filipino American stage, screen, and voice actress was born and raised in Stockton, California, where she earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Psychobiology. Very impressive. From Santa Clara University, followed by a Master's of Fine Arts degree in acting from USC. Amielynn earned recognition for standout roles in Bosch Legacy, The Cleaning Lady, NCIS, and Apple TV's Shrinking. One of my favorite shows, by the way. Currently, she guest stars in The Pitt, a new Max original series from John Wells, executive producer of ER, The West Wing, and stars Noah Wyle. She is with us today to share some of her journey, the new series, and hopefully we can learn a little bit about how she stepped into her light. Hi, Amy Lynn. How are you?
Hi, Yvette. I am doing great. Thank you for such a warm welcome.
Oh, of
It's
course.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I took a peek at your website and that quote really struck me. But I'm gonna go to that quote. But before I get to that, I wanted to make this just new episode about coming into your light. It just when I read a quote on your website, it really did strike me. And there I want to start with congratulating you on the new role and on all your wins. You do so much, and it's really impressive. You hone into your gifts. So,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank
Now,
you.
you've done so much in your young life so far. Many people struggle to have one successful career. You have several, which is truly amazing. I love it. You stepped into your power and you're creating greatness. You do the voice acting, you do the stage, you do on screen, and it's amazing because we tend to that we there's so much we can do. So, did you always believe in yourself, or do you remember a time when fear got in the way of you doing anything?
Hmm. Gosh, you're gonna lead with that question.
Good question.
I think it's always a good starter. Um, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna be honest. I live in fear. I feel like I'm like a fearful person. Um, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know why, but I mean, I could think of why. Life can be a scary place. The world can be a scary place. Being brave can be a scary place. Doing what you want to do can be so scary, especially when it wasn't modeled to you or you have the right support. So, learning that growing up of how to, manage the fear and still keep doing what I wanted to do is still, I think, like that's a lifelong learning experience. Um, so I can think of many times when fear gets in the way, and I think as a as an actor in all forms that you're saying, voice, stage, and screen, I think I have to push through fear all the time, because I think the job is about taking risks. The job is about sacrificing things. This marathon career is filled with ups and downs, and fears that are can be instilled in you from the very beginning that you start trying. So I think just the whole journey of life is like pushing through a lot of fear and people, things and people and getting in the way, or, igniting those fear uh, candles again. But really, to like go towards that light and to trust that that light is there, like what you're saying, and to kind of really just kind of push through the fear as best that you can.
Absolutely. Excuse me. And I think, so much of us are, I know growing up, as a minority, as a Latina, there's so many things that you feel are not for you, or so many dreams that you think are, not for you. And the fact that you've gone out and you've done all these things, it really does inspire all of us. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean that.
Thank you. Thank you. I will take that in.
So,
Yeah.
I believe, of course, I believe that bef- you should. You should, absolutely. Now, I believe that before greatness can take place, we have to experience some type of pain. That's why we have growing pains. Millions of people struggle with fear, trauma, mental health, or just negativity. There's so much of it in the world, sadly.
Sure.
Have you struggled with the dark side before coming into, molding that greatness in your craft, or at any point in your journey? And how did you overcome it and step into your light?
Mm, gosh. Well, um,
Good questions.
in thinking another another real deep
Don't
diver
worry, they'll get
question.
easier.
No, I like it. They're just much more interesting. Uh, wait, how did repeat it again? Repeat it again? Whoa, oh, the deep pain. Oh man.
Of
Okay.
course,
All
of
of
course.
that. Sure. So I feel that just even coming into this career uh, has been a slow, dark journey with spackles of light. But also, I think when I reflect on it, the real darkness is coming from the pressures and the fears that I have put on myself. Um, and the you're not enoughs, or how can you think that that's a career? And that, all was planted, all those seeds were planted as a young child. And what you were saying earlier in terms of being a person of color, uh, at least I'll speak for myself. In my experience, I grew up around medical practitioners, very successful medical practitioners. My dad is a doctor. My mom was an RN for many years, then upgraded to a nurse practitioner. And that was my life. Those were the models that were put in front of me.
The model.
Yeah, of what was success, what was a really honored, respectable career. And it never was being an actor. Um, Being creative and being in the arts was encouraged. And a huge part of my life growing up, my family loved the arts. And I think that's where I fell in love with it. But it never was encouraged as an actual career path. It was more of a hobby. And so I didn't chase it in any sort of real way until I realized that I I couldn't not pursue it because it was so deeply my dream and passion and what was in my heart. But it was so covered, so petrified with fear, um, and so many layers of things that weren't allowing that to come out because of my childhood and upbringing. So I think those sorts of fears are still in me, and I still don't know if this is a real career. I mean, even now, as I've been in my career for 25 plus years. Um, I still sometimes think I'm a total fraud, or I should think about doing something else, or um, so those still live with me all the time.
And I think that's what it's about, pushing through those fears and those barriers that we place on ourselves. And, fairness, sometimes society does a good job of doing that for us as well.
True.
So, just, I think, do you have any tools that you use, or um, anything that can help someone who might be, in the trenches of those fears? Did you For me, I'll be honest, it has been therapy. I have had to get through so many um beliefs about myself, beliefs that you know, I saw on TV, or were created because of what I saw on in the outside world. Did you have any tools that were helpful for you?
Therapy is an excellent idea, and I love it every day. I wish I could talk to my therapist
I
every single day. But yes, I think I think becoming aware of the fears, which is I think what therapy is so wonderful for, because you learn and become aware of the fears of where it came from, how to manage those fears, and you learn how to create tools. Because the fears I don't think will go away, unfortunately. They're just kind of there. Sometimes they're at a level 10, sometimes they're at a level 2, but always there. And it's really about how to manage that fear of rejecting everything that you want to do. Um, and in terms of
I love that.
tools, is just kind of learning to, I think, breathe in the awareness of, oh, that's a fear talking. And that sometimes takes a long time. Sometimes I don't understand that I didn't do something because of fear, like 3 days later, or 3 months later, or 3 minutes later. So as I as as I become more and more into an adult, which is a lifelong process, it's getting quicker to realize that that is just fear, and to be aware of how I can manage that in the moment, and how that's not a part of me, and how that's probably just my inner child, speaking down to me.
I think that's a great answer. It's all about self-awareness. We need to learn ourselves. We need to learn what our fears are, what our traumas are, what are our struggles, so we're able to combat them in a smart, hopefully healthy way. So thank you for sharing that. I love my therapist. I love her.
No.
But anyway,
Oh man, I know.
so
So great.
so currently, you're part of this groundbreaking series called The Pit. It's a medical drama, and I think medical dramas, for the most part, have a little bit of light and darkness. This show looks like, I saw a trailer, emergency medicine on steroids with an amazing cast. Were there any challenges for Were there any challenges for you while filming this dramatic series?
Man, first, I'm still stuck on emergency medicine on steroids. I guess that's a really good way of putting it. Um, but also, I think that it's just emergency medicine real. Like, it's just a realistic portrayal of what emergency medicine is. I think the device of the show, is, of course, you've seen and heard on the trailer, is that, it's 1 hour of a 15-hour. It's one Each episode is 1 hour of a 15-hour shift. It's afraid of, am I doing it right? Am I doing all of this? Like, am I portraying this medical procedure correctly? Am I doing my line? I mean, I find acting it's challenging. I love it. I love it, but uh just
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I love it, but it's challenging in that, I mean, I love the challenge of acting, of learning your lines, portraying a character, learning your actions, connecting with your other characters, and putting all those pieces together to create a seamless story and to convey it to the audience, to where it's not a challenge. Um, and I think it's amazing how actors and the whole crew are creating this show, because it I've seen some of the episodes, and it's incredibly seamless. And and you don't see that there that I'm that I'm anxious or challenged. So just kind of keeping my cool um on
Okay.
how to do this is a challenge. I've never been here before. I've never
Was
been on a set this big for multiple months. This is a whole new process for me and a whole new experience. So the challenge of learning on the job of how to be here has been a process and a journey that I'm happy about.
wow, so it sounds like it was an intense set. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I
assuming you had to learn some lingo, had to see some things during filming.
yeah, yeah. I mean, in terms of the lingo, I grew up around medicine. So I grew up with my dad was a doctor, my mom was a nurse. And so the lingo isn't so foreign to me as it is for some people. And even just being in a hospital and growing up around patients, growing up around medical procedures, hearing about illness, hearing about sickness, how it's being treated, that's completely something that is in my wheelhouse that I'm so grateful to have as a tool and something that I can pull from. And also, I mean, I have a medical background, so I s- I majored in
Sorry.
psychobiology, which is actually the pre-med track at Santa Clara University for my undergrad. So I was studying to be a doctor for a long time.
Wow.
Almost went to medical school, and then switched gears to being an actor after I realized that I was more passionate about telling the stories of, than being the actual doctor. So so yeah, I the that challenge I've been so that has been really easily I've been able to sink into that a lot easier than I had expected, which I'm so grateful for. Um the set was intense
Did
in that it's just a really the stories that we're telling are really intense stories. I mean, this is an emergency room. So everything coming in is an emergency. Um and us as doctors and nurses, we just have to
did
keep
you learn
going.
any particular did you learn I'm curious, well, because you've just mentioned that. Did you learn anything about yourself while filming this particular series?
Hmm. Did I learn anything particular about myself? I did feel that I'm really happy that I'm not a doctor. I,
I love it. You're so
I
honest. I love that. I can't imagine that, girl. I
oh
can't.
my
Bless their
gosh.
hearts.
I mean, first off, I mean, you gotta, in the same way that I'm so passionate about being an actor, to to be a doctor and to be an emergency room doc, any doctor, you need to be passionate about this. You need, I mean, and it's wonderful about Noah Wile's character, Dr. Robbie. He is an incredibly passionate doctor. And with all the trauma continued for years over years going on, the fears, the heartache, the pain still going, like everyone in that hospital like has to be so passionate at what they want to do, and to save lives, to lose lives, and after trying so hard. And I think it made me realize, again, it reaffirmed my decision that I didn't want to go into the medical field, because I wasn't that passionate about it. I wasn't passionate enough.
You know, I've seen so many medical dramas. I love medical dramas. I could never be a doctor, but I do love the human stories and the just the incredible work behind it, behind what doctors do. What do you think stands out about this particular medical drama? And I don't like to compare, but what do you think stands out about it? What's because they're all special in their own way.
I totally agree. I think every medical drama has its own place in the medical drama world, and they're all each of them are very special with their own special thing going on. In regards to the pit, I feel that with how we're trying to tell the story with this whole season takes place over one day, over 15 hours. Um, is a real Oh, yes, yes, that's what happens. So it's each episode is 1 hour of the entire shift. So it's just one day. Um,
Ugh.
and it really is dropping you into this hospital in a realistic way where you get to see what these healthcare workers are going through in 1 hour and how stressful just 1 hour can be out of the 15 and how relentless 1 hour out of the 15 can be. Um, and then as each episode goes on, you get to really we want you to experience the fatigue that we are feeling as we go on to each hour of our shift. Um, and it's still gurney after gurney, um, patient after patient still coming in, and we don't have a break. And I really asked because we have medical consults, medical techs all over the set who, help write the stories, help tell the stories, give us the actions. Because none of us are real actual doctors and nurses. But I asked them, is this really how it is at a hospital? You see that many cases in 1 hour? And they said, yeah, sometimes maybe more. Um, and I think
My
the
God.
intensity of that stress is what I'm curious to see how the audience takes it. Because with other medical dramas, with their own special way of telling the stories of hospitals and clinics, is that I think we get a break. They give us a break. Like you see a really intense case, or two or three, and then cut to, oh, they're at the bar later, or oh, there's some, you know, other things happening outside of the hospital or something like that. And then, we go back after, but this is going to be in real time. And how that wears on a person, how that wears on the nurses, how that wears on the doctors, how that wears on the patients, um, waiting in the waiting room for 1 hour while they're bleeding out. So it's just gonna be a lot to take
Wow.
in.
Ooh, sounds
Yeah.
intense. So, one of the things that I make sure to do when we're wrapping up the interview
Sure.
is end the interview with some sort of positive mantra, quote, piece of advice. There's a quote by Stage Raw on your website that
Mm.
says, there is, let's see, Amielynn Abellera is a shining light, exuding humanity, chemistry, and artistry. Can you share a quote of mantra of your own that you use when you feel your light is dimming? Because I think and I don't know, I just feel the world is really crazy right now. But I think
Yeah.
we all have a little of that, no matter how much greatness, no matter how, filtered is or are. We all have that moment where we feel that our light is dimming a little bit at any given day or moment. Can you share a quote of mantra of your own that may be able to help us in those moments, that maybe has helped you? Because it sounds like you are a shining light. So shine some light on us today.
Oh, thank you. Hmm. Gosh, I can't think of a quote outside of myself that I have as a mantra, but something that I tell my daughter every night before she goes to sleep. We have a little mantra, and it's um, in Tagalog and English. It's matapang ako, I am brave. Matalino ako, I am smart. Malakas ako, I am strong. Magandang ako, I am beautiful. And I have to tell myself those things often. And I'm so glad I tell that to her every single night before she goes to bed, because I'm saying it as much for her as I am for me. To go to bed with that and to wake up with that and to get into my day with that. Because there's so many times where no one's even trying to dim your light. It just gets dim or you're dimming it. And I just have to remember that I am smart, I am strong, I am brave, and I am beautiful.
Ah, I love that. That's the perfect way to end. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel your light. Thank you for sharing it with us today. Please share with our listeners how they can learn more about you and watch The Pit.
Yeah. Thanks for watching The Pit, listeners. It's happening. It's happening. It's premiering this upcoming Thursday on Max. Not sure of the time, but I think it's just going to be available to stream on Thursday. The first two episodes will drop on Thursday, the 9th, and then every Thursday after that, we'll have a new episode ready for streaming on Max. I always post about, my upcoming projects or just about what I'm doing. And of course, this podcast, when it launches, it'll be on my social media, and it's just Amielynn.Abellera. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and all the other socials are just Amielynn
And your
Abellera. Please
website,
follow me.
right?
Oh, yes, and my
Your
website,
website.
which is on my Instagram, is just AmielynNAbellera.com.
Amielynn, thank you so much. Congratulations again. Like I said, emergency, emergency medicine on steroids,
On
literally.
steroids. I
I mean, the
love it.
preview alone
It's
is
true. It's true. It's true.
insane. So thank you
Insanity.
for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really
And
enjoyed our
thank
talk.
you, loves, for joining. Oh, of course. I loved having you. Thank you. And thank
Yay.
you, loves, for joining us on this episode of AW Confidential. Talk to you soon. Bye.